Anda kembali lagi dalam Tech Conference 2021 dengan tema Future 5G, Global Connectivity, Cloud Computing, and Internet of Things. Dan masih bersama kami pada hari ini, yakni Pandu Sastrowardoyo, CEO dari DeBio Network. Dan kita masih akan melanjutkan sesi Q&A kita. Yep, Ms. Pandu, we've talked about a lot of things about how the data privacy is still a major challenge in today's world, especially in our country, where, I think a lot of people, mostly we are not aware of this kind of issues currently taking place. Okay, but the next question is, we do know about the medical technology. It has made our world easier, especially during the pandemic. We can do online consultation. You can get your prescriptions online. So these kind of things really, I think, is the way how health technology is really taking place right now. So in your point of view, maybe in the next 5 to 10 years, what sorts of medical technology will be like?
I think, and this is actually very good in Indonesia, we have a lot of services out there that allow you to get doctors digitally and even get medicine and prescriptions digitally. I think that is amazing. What I think should happen in the next 5 years is these services transform into a more decentralized platform. Doesn't mean that they have to release like this to society or make it available to the public. Doesn't mean that. It means that at least the data is decentralized in a way that the sovereignty of the data is owned by the users. It also doesn't mean you can't monetize the data. It also doesn't mean that you can't analyze the data. You still can. You just have that level of sovereignty, which means that you only can research my data set if that data set I give consent to. So I think in the next 5 years, and actually even sooner than that, that is actually going to happen. Another thing in terms of medical technology that will happen is the rise of self-sampling, the rise of tools and devices that allow you to do your own personal checks on your data. And this is not related to blockchain. This is more related to like medical technologies that appear, computerized systems that are connected to your smartphone and make you able to analyze yourself. That is coming because of the rise of IoT as well. And finally, I'm thinking a lot of the things I mentioned earlier in the earlier segment, actually, like CRISPR, in vivo genetic editing, all these treatments, genetic treatments, are going to be more common. And that necessitates a correct and safe data flow because this is genetic data. And if you change your genes, you need to ensure that you can change it back. Sort of the colloquial way of saying it.
Okay, but with the rise of medical consultation and also online prescriptions, that these platforms and also these institutions, the hospital, they can keep your data for you. So do you think that maybe data security and data breach will be a major challenge in the future? Or?
Exactly. This is something that I've said for a long time. A lot of the technologies, a lot of the nascent technologies that are forced onto us are done so without thinking of security and without thinking of security, of privacy. So in fact, this is where we start with decentralization. This is where we start with data privacy. This is where we ensure that data is sovereign to the users. That single element would make our technologies future-proof. Because here's the thing, a constant that will always happen is that every year there's going to be a hack. There's going to be a major hack.
And it happens a lot in our country.
Happens a lot in our country. Now, hack. Now, if you have a database, a regular database, not a blockchain-based database, you have basically a bucket filled with data, and then you encrypt the bucket. You hide the bucket, basically. If a hacker opens that, something that hides that bucket, that hacker gains access to the entire data set that is in the bucket. When you're using a blockchain system, a proper blockchain system, each point, each data, each piece of data, in fact, is encrypted in a different way. It's encrypted with your public key. And your private key is the only thing that can decrypt the data set. So even if a hacker tries to hack, that hacker would not be able to get the entire data set. Okay. Because you hold your own private keys. So if we start the architecting of these solutions in that way, then we are future-proof. We're getting rid of a lot of future problems. And a lot of these future problems, to be frank, this should have been solved years ago, but it's not. It's also because, like, you know, I used to work in IBM. I know this. There are cycles in terms of enterprise IT. You can't just change servers every year. There's always cycles, 3 to 5 years, etc. The thing is, if we start now, then we wouldn't have to change when society catches up, when awareness of society, awareness of users about privacy catches up. And that privacy, that awareness is actually catching up really soon, in my opinion.
Okay, so decentralization, you mean, is to prevent all of this major data issue and data breach from coming in the future?
Yes, and from the user perspective, it's the same thing. It's probably a sort of a different type of logins. It's probably not username and password. There's probably a lot of ways that can change from the user perspective, but after a login, it's the same exact application. The hosting is different. The way it's hosted in a way that is decentralized, that is actually put everywhere, ensures the safety of the application on top.
Okay. Wow, that's really interesting, Ms. Pandu. This is something that, you know, we don't really heard of, but we're glad that you're here today to share this with us. Okay, next we'll move on to the questions from the audience. We've been receiving a lot of questions. Let me read out the first question for you. This is from Diva Wiryo Sukarto from Jakarta. The question is, how about target market of DeBio currently?
Of course. So the target market, as I mentioned in the slide, actually is not just people who are blockchain savvy. We want to ensure that everyone who wants to have their own personal genetic testing, have testing at home, people who cannot leave the house, for example, they can use DeBio. And the way they use DeBio is they sample themselves. They open the application, they sample themselves, they send over to a local lab, and the lab basically sends results back. That is actually really required in the current pandemic because we try not to go anywhere. We try to stay at home. A lot of people can't go anywhere because of their own health issues. Maybe they're high risk. Maybe they cannot be vaccinated for some reason. So that's sort of our primary target market for the current pandemic. But like after the pandemic even, people who are health conscious, people who want to know their genetic destiny, not a destiny, but their genetic future, they can basically use this to get their own genetic testing. And that's the target market from the user side. There's a target market from the partnership side. Remember, we're not just one lab. We are multiple labs working together. And we want to partner with all labs out there who have genetic testing services, labs who basically have any kind of biomedical testing services, SARS-CoV-2 testing. All of these labs can work together with us and offer services on the platform. Imagine that. We would be like an Amazon or Tokopedia for labs. And the labs coming into our platform have an immediate digital storefront and a way to send in samples. Yeah.
Okay, wow, that's really, really amazing. Okay, next, Ms. Pandu, it's very interesting, but unfortunately, we're short of time. Maybe a closing statement from you.
I've been talking about decentralization all this time. And I've been talking about trustless systems as well. The thing is, decentralization is an underlying infrastructure. On top of that infrastructure, we can build many things. One of the things we're building is DeBio. And even on top of DeBio, we can do a lot of other things related to biomedical and bioinformatics. We are looking at ways to ensure that labs can work together, like smaller labs throughout Indonesia working together to provide testing services as a joint product, sort of like a JV on top of a blockchain. We want to build with you. And I'm here today to ask you to build with us. And this is not just for the users, this is for the labs as well, for the hospitals out there. We're open to partnership. It's debio.network. Go there. And you can contact me at ceo@debio.network. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pandu Sastrowardoyo, CEO of DeBio Network. Very interesting discussion today. Thank you very much to you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm happy to be here again.
Glad to have you here. Thank you very much, Ms. Pandu.